Yeah, we are. We are live.
Okay, good. All right.
Yep, it says we
Um,
are live.
it says we're live. All right, awesome. So let me get out of YouTube. Hold on. All right. We good? No
It
feedback?
says live on YouTube. Yep.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
It's like it's the first time that I was doing it on the phone, so it's a little bit different for me.
It's good. We did it.
Okay, so
Here we
today we're
are.
talking. Jesus, yeah, we made it. It's late. It's later than usual, and like I said, like I was telling you right before we started. This is just like I'm feeling foggier than usual because I just got out of this class. So this jujitsu class, and so I'm feeling like hazy, like but I'm good though. We can talk, and I think that actually this class is it speaks to the subject that we're going to discuss today because it was the first jiu-jitsu class that I took that wasn't women's only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Perfect
so
timing then.
it was a co-ed class. So yeah, so today we were talking about feeling comfortable, like right, people feeling in general comfortable in their bodies, and as women feeling comfortable like in the gym setting, so like working out and feeling good about working out and all of that stuff, and feeling confident. And there's so many layers to that. There's
Sure.
just so many different layers. But the thing that was that I was thinking about while I was in this class is that, I mean, not while I was in the class, but like before I was in the class, I was like, oh yeah, this would be a really good thing to link to the conversation, because I don't know if you're familiar with jiu-jitsu, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Not really, no, but I mean I know what it is, but I don't know a lot about
Okay.
it or what it's supposed to be for. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So I'm like just starting to learn jiu-jitsu, right? It's been maybe a month, maybe a little over a month, that it's been. And I've been going to like the women's only classes, right?
Right.
So today was the first day that I rushed after my my client at the gym, rushed after that, went over to the jiu-jitsu class, which is like the 30-minute drive away from the gym, and got in there, and it's like I don't know how many people, but it's like a room full of people, everybody, we all have to wear a mask and stuff, still, but and there's guys and there's girls in there. And so with jiu-jitsu, you are, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like your role. It kind of reminds me of wrestling, but I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want anybody mad at me for like saying this, right? But like I'm trying to explain it. So you're on the ground, kind of like entangled with another person, and you're trying to like get the person in a certain position so that you can dominate, and then like I don't know, break something on them. So like, break their shoulder or something like that. Except
Okay.
you're not really gonna break that. You're not really gonna break. Like what you're gonna do is get them to like what's called tap, right? So you want them to tap. So they
Right.
say, okay, I can't take any more pain. You win, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it kind of reminds me of like wrestling or something, like, okay, I can't take any more of this pain, right? So they have like all of these different holds, and you like, are grabbing people with your legs, and, pinning them down, and, rolling them around, and like getting them in these positions where they can't move at all. And that's like that's like what it what it is. So the partner that I had today, because I'm so new to it, he was like a purple belt, and the teacher, she put us together because I've been coming to her classes and stuff, and she knows I'm a beginner, so she's like, oh, let me get you with this guy because he's experienced, he can coach you through some stuff, and you guys can like have a good successful class together. And and I can't say that like I'm used to guys being on top of me and like holding me down and turn, like, you know what I mean? I mean, I know that probably sounds like another thing I'm describing,
No,
but
no, no. I got you. No, it's good. You're good.
okay. Right. 'Cause it kind of
I know
sounds,
where you're
anyway,
coming from. You're good.
yeah, but it, but it's like I'm just not used to to that in any way, right? And so it's different, and to be able to feel like comfortable with having a male partner, with some of my own sexual traumas, and with just some of my own experiences, for me is a big hurdle. Because at some point, honestly, Sharon, I wasn't even comfortable. Like before I became a trainer, I wasn't comfortable going to the gym at all. You
Really?
know, I wasn't. I was like scared to death. I have anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I would, if anybody were coming up to me and, a trainer or anybody come up to me, try to talk to me at all, that was a guy, I was like leaving. I quit my gym memberships. Like, yeah.
I don't think you're that unusual, though. I think that's very common. I
Mm,
think that fear of the gym,
yeah.
fear of, I think that still in the back of the minds of a lot of women, the gym is still a place for a man. I'm not sure that we've actually gotten over that yet. And it's weird to me because way back when I owned Golds, that's
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I tried to do is I tried to eliminate that because it was a bodybuilding gym up until then. And I
Yeah.
just thought it was going to be a fitness center and brought in babysitting and stuff like that. We've come a really long way,
Mm,
but there's still something I think in our minds that make us not comfortable. It's not a comfortable feeling to go into a gym.
yeah. It really
I'm not,
isn't.
I don't know if it's because of our own insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I talked about this, where if it's about what the media is shoving down our throat about what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to feel like,
Right.
what you're supposed to do. And it kind of makes you nervous to have to go in and do that.
Yeah. Well, what I used to feel like is that I didn't want anybody talking to me. I didn't want any guys coming up to me trying to hit on me. I didn't want anybody looking at my butt
Yeah.
while I was like doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't want that. I felt like a gazelle, and just being, with a bunch of predators around. And that's all like up here, in the mind, because maybe some of that's true. But maybe some of it isn't. So I remember like in the last gym that I worked in, there was this guy who came to the gym and he would always like work out and stuff. And I guess he liked me. He must have liked me. And this big like buff dude, and I went into sort of like the training it was like a functional room, right, for the trainers and stuff. And I went in there, it was locked. Okay, so nobody's supposed to be in there except for trainers and the people that the trainers are training, or
Right.
if there's a small group training. So I go in there, this guy goes in after me, right? And then he approaches me. He says some like really inappropriate things about, some like really just gross, inappropriate things to me. He was all up in my personal space. I felt threatened, and I just kind of like went off on him. I was like, you need to get, you know what I mean? Like just like went off on him. And then I took a beat to process it. And then by the time I went home, I was like in tears, bawling, completely triggered, like completely uneasy. I went back to work. I could like complain, about him. And so he got a talking to, and almost kicked out of the gym for being inappropriate for the sexual harassment. Right. But that's the kind of situation that I didn't want to be in. And, and it's crazy that it happened to me at a point where I was starting to feel confident, because at this point I was a trainer and working at the gym. You feel some kind of confidence with that. But at the end of the day, it's like the very scenario that I did not want to happen was happening, But Yeah. So anyway, so I say all that to say that tonight was a big step for me.
I bet it was. Well, good for you though. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you beat him up? Did you pin him down?
I mean, yeah, with some technique and his guidance, and there was a point where he was there was a point where he was like, okay, I'm going to give you some resistance now. And I was like, okay, let's go. Give me some resistance. And then I was like going nowhere, it's just like that. but then, no, but then I got him like pinned down a few times. So that felt really good, to be able to take the technique and put it into use and to be just fully comfortable with, with being able to have that kind of an interaction and know that, and not feeling like there has to be something predatory about it.
I was going to feel safe. It felt safe.
Yeah, it felt safe. Exactly. And I think that's all that I wanted. And I'm sure, like you said, I'm not alone, right? Probably in how I feel. So, about those things. And, so yeah, I mean,
but see, yours was a little bit different though. Yours was because of that predatory feeling, where a lot of people just feel uncomfortable coming to the gym because of them, because of how they feel about themselves. And they feel like competition with other people and that kind of thing, which is crazy. But
I've never felt like that. I mean, I don't know, maybe you felt like that. I just personally can't. I'm sure that there's people that feel that way. I can't relate to that feeling of like, I don't want to be in there because I'm competing with people.
I don't mean competing. That was probably the wrong word.
Okay.
And more along the lines of, I don't feel, or people necessarily, not necessarily me, but although, me right now, because I'm a little older and not in the same shape I always was, it's a little intimidating to go into a place where you feel like everybody or 3/4 of the people are in better shape than you. You always feel like the same way you felt like that predatory feeling. I think people feel when they come into a gym and they feel like people are looking at them, judging them.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not comfortable for people.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not. And like, how do you get over that? How do you get past that? Because the thing is that it's like, the gym is another tool. There's so many different ways that we can move, and so many different pathways that we can take to just try to get in some activity, right? It doesn't always have to be limited to the gym, but when it is that, but when you can get over that hurdle, then you have the gym as another tool, in your toolbox.
Right.
And why not use it if you have that? But I think one thing that made me feel comfortable in going to the gym was doing like group classes. Doing the group classes made me feel really comfortable because everybody's in there, like they're kind of where you are. They feel they're there because that feels better for them, and so are you. Right. So the group classes, the group fitness always felt good to me. What else? How have you ever gone through anything like that? I'm just wondering.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Let's see. It's been a few years. The very first time I took, way back in the day, when aerobics was all dance aerobics kind of thing. Right. Well, I was overweight, coming out of college and eating hard rolls on all of my breaks with butter. And and I was about 160 pounds. Okay. So, which for me is
I'm going to say 160. I'm like, I'm not that far from
listen,
10 pounds off from 100.
I'm only 30 pounds less than that now. But you have to remember that my normal average pre-COVID weight is about 120.
But let's also remind folks that it depends on if you're, talking about muscle, fat, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So if it was like 160 and it was mostly fat and not a lot of muscle, then I could see exactly.
It was. I hadn't worked out at all. Didn't work out. Didn't want to know about it. Didn't even care about getting off my chair and walk into the kitchen, kind of thing. If I could have gone to the kitchen in a chair, I would have. That sort of thing. I was not in fitness. So 20 21, 22, 23 years old, not caring about fitness at all, and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so my very first experience was in a group fitness class.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, I walked in and I said, okay, I paid, thank God I paid up front. That's all I could say. Because
Okay.
paid up front. And I remember thinking as I was halfway through the class, this absolutely sucks. I don't like this. I don't like this girl that's teaching. She's perfect. I'm fat. I can't move. I hate this. Right. But being the stubborn Italian that I am, and having paid the money up front, I'm like, I'm going to finish the session. And by the time 6 weeks was over, I had crossed the line into doing the class and enjoying it into obsession. I mean, in 6 weeks, it had gone like that, to the point where the woman that owned the business was looking for instructors, and I decided I was going to audition.
What a turnaround.
Right? She chose me. She chose me.
And that's how you got into fitness.
That's right. I started out with just group fitness classes. And so then that's when I got my certification for group fitness. And then from there, I immediately went into personal training.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I got myself down to about 115, 118 pounds, which is where I stayed for a very long time.
Okay.
So, but intimidating?
Yeah.
I can't even, I mean, I stood in the back row. I didn't want her to look at me. I didn't want anybody to look at me. It was just, very intimidating.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with, my girlfriend, Linnea. We were talking about this, and she was saying that when she first started, she was saying thing back row, didn't really know like what she was doing. You would never be able to tell now, right? Because she's like such a fitness fanatic. Yeah. But.
Oh, you mean the one in the driveway on the mat? Yeah. Oh yeah, her, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In the driveway, on the mats, wherever she can get in. But a lot of us start from these positions where we don't feel comfortable, and people don't know or even think that like that was even a thing that could happen, that we're not feeling comfortable all the time in these environments that it looks like we're so naturally, just acclimated to. And it's like, no, that took work. And that took a lot of, for me, it took a lot of work because of, obviously like I have the anxiety and stuff. So it took a lot of mental work, a mental preparation, and saying like, listen, you are making up scenarios in your mind that don't necessarily exist. You're talking about, you're being paranoid. You're talking about people being predatory that may not even be thinking about you. You're talking about people being concerned, people looking at you, or people judging you for things that they may not be, even paying attention to you. What kind of messages are we thinking up in our mind, that aren't helping? I don't think we have enough time to even get on the subject of like body dysmorphia.
Oh, that's another, we need to do that for maybe next week.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other.
But that's men, that's women, that's everybody, who sees themselves differently than how they are.
Right. They look in a mirror. They're not seeing the person that's looking back at them. They're seeing the old version of themselves that they haven't gotten out of their head yet.
And sometimes they're seeing a version that never existed.
True. What they thought in their mind existed. Right.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit earlier, where I was like, yeah, sometimes I look in the mirror and I feel like I'm, 500 pounds. Sometimes that happens. I'm not even exaggerating. Look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And meanwhile, I'm talking to my friend, and I said something like, I said, it was real stupid. Don't comment. I said something like, yeah, I just want to be able to walk around without having to flex for my six pack. And she's like, she like wants to curse me out. Obviously, she's like, what are you talking about? At least you have a six pack. Like, why are you talking about having a flex for it?
It's under there. It doesn't. That's the problem, and that's what I'm saying. It's all what we put in here, and. Well, we talked about this too, another whole conversation. It's the way the media is portraying it, the way people have been led to believe that you're supposed to look, that you're supposed to feel, that you're supposed to, and we have actually told ourselves and convinced ourselves
Yeah.
that this is the way it's supposed to be.
I know that as a trainer, there's a lot of pressure to be perfect, to look perfect, to be that example. I know, I feel like, I feel that pressure sometimes, like, oh, if you want to get clients or you want to be able to get people to rally behind you, to believe in you, you have to look a certain way. And so there's this feeling out there that like, that's the route you have to do. So if you're going to be in this industry, you have to look damn good. You can't be in this industry and not worry about beauty. And I'm in no way, shape, or form, vain or like just dealing about the surface. But that's what I've noticed. And you're talking about propaganda and advertising and marketing and all of that stuff. We are all our own brand. These days, every individual is their own brand. They're taught that you are your physical representation is really a representation of everything that you believe about yourself, everything that you do to yourself. This is us seeing the outside is everything that you are. And that is your brand. You brand yourself on social media. You brand yourself when you network with people. If you're trainers or if you're an entrepreneur, whatever, you're branding and marketing yourself all the time. And it's dangerous territory to not be able to pull that aside and say like, okay, this is the image, but this is the person. And I need to take care of the person. I need to see the person, and then let the image be there for what it is. Let it be what it is, but don't let that, don't let that take center stage. You have to take care of like who you actually are first.
Yes. And honestly and truly, and we talk about this all the time. I know you and we want to have programs and ideas that are sustainable. Okay.
Yes.
So when people go into the gym and they're after this constant 6-pack, constant rip look and stuff, it's just not sustainable. It's great to look like that for the summer for like a couple of months because you're like,
a photo shoot or something.
But honestly, here's the thing: how many of those people, and you don't realize it, have underlying issues, maybe health issues, heart issues? You don't know any of that stuff.
That's right.
Okay, they're looking great on the outside. You don't know what's going on the inside.
That's
the
right.
truth of the matter is, right? It is everything. It's nutrition. It's mind. It's body, and right. It's mind and body, and it's all goes together. And I think that a sustainable, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, okay, I look pretty good and I can sustain this. I think that that's like the best deal.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Going forward.
That's right. That's right. It has to be a lifestyle that you can maintain without having to think too hard about it. I'm the habit girl, right? So it's like, it's gotta be stuff that you can do. You don't have to overthink it. You can eat your food without feeling like you're missing out on life,
right.
Definitely don't want to start falling into these really dangerous categories of like how we view ourselves. But I did want to acknowledge the fact that even as a professional, as a fitness professional in the industry, that that does impact me. And I'm saying this, in being my truest authentic self, and saying that, today there was a milestone. There's a history of all of this, like thinking that maybe somebody else out there can also relate to, that we're all work in progress,
Sure.
And I work through my stuff too, sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel the pressure to just be perfect, and feel the pressure to, to just be this image. And I can't fall for that, because it's going against what we were talking about, what we believe in, sustain, what is it? Being sustained. I can't even so I told you all my brain cells like died in that class.
Listen, at least you waited through your class. Mine died earlier this morning. Well, mine died after my shot yesterday. So, I mean, I'm just starting to come alive now. So, we're just a little bit opposite here. I'm just starting to feel it.
That's okay. Tag me in.
I'm getting tagged. There you go. I'm just getting in with it now. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to wake up. What is it? Like 9:45? I'm just starting to wake up.
Oh man. Well,
No,
anyway, do we have any more time to talk? Or are we
it's
out of it?
I think it's like it's 9:45.
Okay.
But this is a conversation that we really should continue because it has many branches to it. Like you spoke about what happened with you, with you today, which a lot of people can relate to. And then we have the image thing that we have to talk about. And there's just so many things that we just
maybe we can stay on this for a little bit, make it kind of a series, and maybe for next week or two or so, just kind of, outline all the different areas that this touches on, because this is huge. This is a huge topic. And like I said, right now, it may seem like we're focusing on very personal stories. But this also is something that men go through too. Like how many men, are getting like implants and injections into their biceps to make themselves look bigger.
Listen, I use my son, as an example all the time, right? So he just grew up he was quite heavy, quite heavy. And of course, having the fitness mom, I kind of feel bad for him and my daughter, because, I was kind of like, you should be but because I was always concerned.
Yeah.
And when he started to get a little bit, wearing like husky sized pants and stuff like that, I would get nervous. And I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't eat that. Maybe. Yeah. He got very overweight. And of course, I would try to tell him what to do. And of course, he didn't.
Right.
Then
the kids, they rebel.
Then all of a sudden one day, because of what he wants to do, he wants to be an actor, he wants to perform. If you want a certain kind of part, you have to look a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
He took it upon himself. He never came to me. I mean, he did. I can't say that because he relates back to me so many of the things that I've said to him over the years. So he absorbed it. But he started with P90X.
Okay.
On his own, by himself. And he went from like 250 pounds to like 180. And
wow, on P90X.
Now he's muscular and ripped. But now, this is another thing we have to talk about. Now he's gone to the point almost of obsession.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he gets really like, he's not seeing the person that he sees in the mirror. He looks at himself and he's like, God, I'm so fat. And he definitely is not. He definitely is not. That being said, he enjoys his life. He'll drink his beer. He's a beer drinker. He drinks his beer. Then he feels guilty afterwards. So that's also something that you have to work on. You have to have a lifestyle.
No, we can definitely talk about, and I don't know if Zach's thing is going so far as to be, a disorder or anything like that. But I do think that that's something that we should talk about at some point. Because you're right. Any those obsessions, and there's so many people think about like disorders, and they think about like binge eating disorder or anorexia or bulimia, but we don't think about like the exercise bulimia and exercise anorexia, like all of those different things, right? Where you're just like, go over and over doing it. And the interesting thing to me is the exercise bulimia, which I think is probably more common than we know of, where people like are binge eating and then they just go to the gym and they work at the gym, and they think like, oh, I've offset what I've eaten. But if you do that, you know what I mean? But that's the whole thing, because in the mind, you're still binging and purging. You're purging with exercise and you're binging on whatever you want. So we can dig all up in all of that, because that's some real crazy territory to be in, because it's not just your actions. It stems with your mind, and everything is just so connected to like this thing up here. Oh my God.
Make your break. Make your break.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Oh,
it goes, you know
please.
what, and we've been saying what we want to do is promote healthy lifestyles. What we want to do is we want to work through people's minds first and then get through your bodies. And that seems to be
Absolutely.
go. So this is a good conversation to have, I think. And
Okay. All
personal
right. We'll
stories are
definitely
good
consider that.
because people relate.
Yeah. I mean, we're being vulnerable.
What happened?
I don't know. It just kind of, but you're back though. You're back. Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, you were saying personal stories are important because people relate, I think is what you said.
They
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. I mean, and
So I mean, those of you that are watching, I hope you're not too bored, but I thinking if they listen to what we say and they're like, oh wow, they feel that way, then maybe I'm not so crazy.
yeah. Definitely not. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here for our Talk Thursdays. And next week, we'll just continue the conversations. It's such a good conversation. I feel like we could be on this for hours,
Yeah,
just
probably.
talking through all the little nuances. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap
Absolutely.
it up here. Thank you for adjusting the time for me. So do we want to let's talk about a time when we want to do, we'll talk offline about when we want to have it, because so I want to keep going to my jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah, I think this is a great topic. I think this is something that really people can dig into because it's something that everybody goes through. So
Absolutely. All right, Sharon. Well, thank you so much for talking tonight with
it's always
me,
my
and
pleasure.
always great. All right, we'll talk next time on Next Talk Thursday. Bye.